The blinking cursor on an empty screen, the untouched report looming, the dishes piling high. You know the feeling, that familiar whisper in your mind, urging you to do anything but the task at hand. It's a universal human experience, cutting across cultures, professions, and ages. But what exactly is this invisible force that pulls us away from our intentions? Why do we consciously delay, knowing full well the consequences? This isn't just about laziness. It's a complex interplay of psychology, neuroscience, and environment. We're going on a journey to uncover the hidden mechanisms behind why we procrastinate, and more importantly, how we can begin to untangle ourselves from its grip. Prepare to confront your future self, understand your fears, and perhaps, finally start that thing you've been putting off. At its core, procrastination is often a battle between your present self and your future self. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification. When faced with a difficult or unpleasant task, the brain seeks an escape, a quick hit of dopamine from something easier, more enjoyable. Scrolling social media, watching a video, checking emails, these provide instant, albeit fleeting, rewards. The future consequences of delaying, like a missed deadline or increased stress, feel distant and less impactful in the moment. Neuroscientists explain this as the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and self-control, struggling against the limbic system which drives impulse and reward. It's a primitive instinct clashing with our modern need for long-term planning. We choose comfort now, at the expense of our future well-being, trapped in a cycle of temporary relief followed by deeper regret. Beyond the immediate gratification, a deeper, more insidious reason for procrastination often lies in fear. The fear of failure is potent. If we don't start, we can't fail. The blank page holds infinite possibilities, but also infinite potential for not measuring up. Perfectionism, surprisingly, is a huge driver of procrastination. The desire for flawless execution can be so overwhelming that it paralyzes us, making not starting feel safer than starting imperfectly. But it's not just failure. Sometimes we fear success. What if completing this task means higher expectations? What if it leads to more responsibility, more scrutiny? This is particularly true for those grappling with imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud despite achievements. The anxiety associated with these fears can manifest as avoidance, leading us right back to the comforting distraction. Often, we procrastinate simply because we don't know where to begin, or we lack a clear connection to the why. A vague task like, write a report, can feel like an insurmountable mountain. Our brains crave clarity and direction. Without a clear first step or a breakdown into manageable chunks, the task feels overwhelming. This lack of clarity can quickly erode motivation. If we don't understand the purpose, or if the goal feels irrelevant to our larger values, our intrinsic motivation wanes. The why behind the task is crucial. If we don't feel a personal stake, or if the task feels imposed and disconnected from our goals, our internal resistance grows. We often delay tasks that feel meaningless, even if we know they should be done. Perhaps one of the most insightful perspectives on procrastination is viewing it as a strategy for emotional regulation. Instead of directly confronting uncomfortable feelings like boredom, anxiety, frustration, or insecurity that a task might evoke, we default to avoidance. Procrastination becomes a temporary emotional salve. It's a way of saying, I don't want to feel this right now, and choosing a less painful, more pleasant state. This isn't a conscious, rational choice. It's an automatic response, often driven by habit. The immediate relief from dodging the uncomfortable task reinforces the behavior, making it harder to break. It's not that we are lazy. It's that we are struggling to manage our inner emotional landscape in a constructive way. We are notoriously bad at estimating how long tasks will take. This cognitive bias, known as the planning fallacy, leads us to consistently underestimate the time and effort required for future tasks, especially complex ones. It'll only take an hour, we tell ourselves, when in reality it will take 3. This over-optimism fuels procrastination, as we believe we have ample time to squeeze it in later. We also tend to forget past experiences where similar tasks took longer than expected. This self-deception creates a false sense of security, pushing the task further down the line until the looming deadline creates a genuine crisis. It's a vicious cycle where underestimation leads to delay, which leads to increased pressure, and often a rushed, lower-quality outcome. In our hyper-connected world, procrastination has an arsenal of new allies. Endless digital distractions. Notifications ping, emails flood inboxes, social media feeds endlessly refresh. Each interruption fragments our focus and pulls us further away from our intended work. Our environments, too, play a critical role. A cluttered workspace, a noisy room, or the constant presence of tempting leisure activities can make focused work incredibly challenging. We become passive recipients of external stimuli rather than active agents of our own attention. Without conscious effort to design our environment for productivity and minimize distractions, we are constantly fighting an uphill battle against the siren call of instant entertainment and trivial pursuits. We've explored the multifaceted reasons behind procrastination, delving into neuroscience, psychology, and cognitive biases. Understanding why we do it is a powerful first step. But knowledge alone isn't enough to break the cycle. The real challenge lies in translating that understanding into consistent action. It's about building a bridge between intention and behavior. This isn't about shaming ourselves into submission, but rather cultivating self-awareness and self-compassion. Recognizing that procrastination is often an emotional coping mechanism, not a moral failing, allows us to approach it with curiosity rather than judgment. The shift comes when we move from asking, "Why am I doing this?" to "What can I do differently right now?" Overcoming procrastination is a journey, not a destination, and it starts with small, deliberate steps. First, break down overwhelming tasks into tiny, actionable pieces. The Pomodoro technique, working for 25 minutes, then a 5-minute break, can be incredibly effective. Second, prioritize, starting over finishing. The hardest part is often just beginning. Focus on the very first step, no matter how small. Third, manage your environment. Eliminate distractions, create a dedicated workspace, and make good choices easier to access. Fourth, practice self-compassion. Recognize that everyone struggles, and beating yourself up only perpetuates the cycle. Celebrate small victories. Fifth, implement accountability, whether it's a friend, a mentor, or even a self-imposed deadline with a consequence. Finally, become an observer of your own internal resistance. What emotion is the task bringing up? Addressing that underlying feeling is key to sustainable change. Procrastination is more than just a bad habit. It's a window into our fears, our aspirations, and our struggles with self-regulation. By understanding its multifaceted roots, from our brain's desire for instant gratification to our deep-seated fears, we can begin to address it with empathy and strategic action. It's not about becoming perfectly productive, but about developing a more compassionate and effective relationship with ourselves and our goals. The tools are within reach. Self-awareness, small steps, a supportive environment, and the courage to begin. The next time that familiar urge to delay creeps in, remember what you've learned. Take a breath, acknowledge the feeling, and then choose one tiny, brave step forward. Your future self will thank you.